Welcome to this episode of Herald Cafe. As you know, we bring interesting guests to our interviews, and today we've got a research scholar. She is a librarian of repute, and she won the Goa State Cultural Award also. Please welcome Dr. Maria Lourdes Bravo da Costa Rodrigues. Welcome to the studio.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure to be in the studio and answer your questions, whatever you want to ask about my thesis or myself. So maybe be an inspiration to the younger generation.
Of course.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
how we should I'm grateful that you are writing it down, you are archiving, and especially the thesis you have done the chapter wise. No, one is food and memory, which
Yeah.
is very interesting for me.
Yeah.
Let me start by asking you about the thesis, your doctorate paper. What was the inspiration? What was the inspiration to write about food, especially?
See, I have been studying in food history for quite some time, because most of the time when you're talking about food, Goan food was more for the culinary art, recipes and things like that. So what was required was the historical perspective. So during my years in the library working there and I'm working on food, I said I would start, and I came out with a book called Tasty Goan Morsels and Food Preparations, and that was my first attempt. And I had some. It was a small book, no doubt, not what to say encyclopedic history,
Got
but
it, yeah.
but was an attempt to let people know about the food that we have, and there was a couple of chapters that I had then. So I said, why not elaborate and have something for my thesis. And that's when I discussed with my guide, and he says fine, and we started working on this topic, though in the end it became all different from what I was looking at.
Right.
But nonetheless, I think it is an interesting thesis that I have written, and there's a lot of scope for continuity on the topic if I want, and new research has been written on, which is actually, when you are doing your PhD, you are supposed to come with originality and more new findings,
Yes.
which I feel I have done in all the chapters.
Okay.
And especially we're talking about in the first chapter, for example, where I speak about the rice problem, the deficiency of rice in Goa.
Yes.
I have a lot of matter which is new in the sense that it has not been spoken and discussed by other researchers. And it's not unlike how people say, oh, your thesis on rice. No, it's not on rice. Rice is just a part of my thesis.
Got it.
And especially the first chapter where I speak about the deficiency, and I use a novel in that.
Okay.
I'm using a Goan, Orlando Costa,
Okay.
who happened to be the father of the current Prime Minister of Portugal.
Yes.
And in Portuguese, it's Signo da Ira, and there's a translation of the Sign of Rot.
Okay.
But of course, I use the original since I know the language well. And basically, it was always considered as a book where it is discussed about Badkar Munkar relation.
Right.
Yeah, but I went beyond that.
Okay.
It also discusses the food problems of the Munkar in Goa.
Right.
Yeah, so I used that as a platform to discuss the deficiencies of rice and how people suffered. So it's more on the suffering of the downtrodden.
Okay.
Yes, and how powerful people saw that the downtrodden always remain, were suffering.
Subjugated,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was not only his. I used R.V. Pandit also here in Konkani in his
Okay.
book, and where he also writes. And he will say that these are elites who are writing about the downtrodden, which is a good thing. It's not the downtrodden writing about them, but both Orlando and R.V. Pandit are also elitist writers.
Yes.
Yeah, so they did express about the problem of the downtrodden. Yeah.
And talking about while you were structuring that thesis, because I can understand that the scope is always expanding. You can
Yes.
expand on every chapter right now also.
Right.
It's not a finite thing, you
Mm.
can go on and on.
Yes.
And while you were structuring the first time, please tell me about the guidance you got from Professor Ramirez, or
Yeah, Professor Ramirez, he is a professor in Capman College,
Okay.
and Capman College has a center for history
Mhm.
because the university opened up, expanded from the university to some centers, different subjects.
Okay.
And the Capman Center is for history,
Okay.
and so I was the second student of Professor Remy,
Mhm.
and he did guide me, in a way that because if you are looking, as I say, when I say that I've worked on food history, the first thing that somebody asks, oh, how you prepare this and how you prepare that.
Yes.
It's not culinary at all.
Right.
It's more histories,
Mm.
politics,
Mm.
not politics per se, but politics of history in a
Yes,
broader sense.
yes.
Like for this problem of rice, the
Mm.
politics played by the government, by the Barca,
Mm.
by the comunidad,
Mm.
So then we also, I worked to see that we were working to focus the problem of the poor,
Mhm.
and what we all today use the word as subalterns,
Right.
which can sometimes be misnomer also.
Mhm.
And so he went on guiding and say no, because if you read the thesis, the last chapter of mine is on economic blockade.
Okay.
During the 50s,
Okay.
from 55 to 1961,
Mhm.
which the government of India imposed on Goa. And there again, I tried to focus on the people, masses,
Mm.
who suffered because the blockade stopped remittances,
Yes.
and so the money was not coming for those who were here,
True.
and so they couldn't buy even if things were imported,
Yes.
and the food also was not coming. So because we were always import based state, let's say.
What about the native seeds?
Native rice was never enough.
Got it.
Native rice was enough for maximum, say, 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Maximum.
Okay.
Yeah, and that too because the politics were played. So never try to increase the land production, land use, which they should have. You see, because we could easily raise at least 2 crops.
True.
Yeah, but so 2 crops, second crop was just 10% of the first crop,
Got it.
the monsoon crop.
Got it.
So the emphasis was not laid to increase the food. So that
Production,
I have seen it as a means to use as a weapon, because if the down to the
True.
poor
Yeah.
don't have, they depend on the they
Yes,
have to
on
go
the
and
dollar,
bag,
yeah.
exactly. So that was how they used it, and they were not allowing to more land for growing food, because other food also could have been used for horticulture, vegetables and things like that.
And all these chapters are interconnected, I seem, somehow.
Yeah, somehow they are interconnected. Yeah, the food becomes the main
Yes, yeah.
connection between the different chapters. Because again, see, I have a chapter on drinks that makes you laugh and cry also. So that's
Okay.
on alcoholism,
Okay.
and that is bad food.
Mhm.
So all over it is food only that is connecting the different chapters, though we say it is multifaceted thesis.
Yeah, from the point of view of maybe cultural anthropology, contemporary politics,
Yeah.
and the geopolitics also included
Yes.
because of this. Burns. Nice. And I would like to ask you about your librarian angle, in the sense that you have seen so many libraries across the world. Portugal you have seen, and you've been working here in Goa State Central Library.
Yes, yes.
And any comparison between the libraries of Europe and libraries of here? If you want to improve something, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say that the Central Library in Goa was and is also a center for Indo-Portuguese studies. It's internationally recognized as a center because of its collection.
Right.
Okay, we did have many researchers coming throughout the years, and famous and well-known international researchers, and researching in our old library at the in the same building where the Minas Briganza's function.
Yes.
So it's not, the library is not evaluated on the size of the building, but it is evaluated on the collection of
The contents, yeah.
contents of the exactly. So whenever somebody asks you about the library, you with pride will say that this is my collection. I will not say this is my building. Okay, and we have worked that way as a team to see that we would be projected as an international center for Indo-Portuguese histories, which we are.
Okay.
Yes, and the collection is very good collection, and important collection is our newspaper collection, periodical.
Okay.
But I would say that to maintain that collection, it was decided to have air conditioning, which is not functioning.
But it is necessary.
It is necessary because you maintain the uniformity of the temperature
and humidity. For
humidity,
the papers,
exactly. So it's not working. I worked for 6 years for my research, and the AC was not working on the floor of fourth floor for that long, and there were not even fans. But I had to work. Now, even now, I need to go to work on a paper. I'm thinking how I'm going to sit there to do my research because the weather is so hot. It is hot everywhere with so much of concreting down around. So it was different here because we had the breeze coming. The building is old. You know, the concept of the building was different from what we have today. So that way, I wouldn't say that. Of course, we have more space. It looks beautiful from outside, like a mall, for that matter. But work conditions are important, especially for research.
True. And for preservation of all these documents of like old documents.
All documents, we need to have AC. AC is not meant for the people. Because even once a researcher worked in and he says, why the temperatures is maintained at 15, I don't know if he said 18 or something like that in France, and this is, you wear in a sweater and come. Don't ask us to reduce the temperature. The temperature will maintain consistently, and if you cannot bear it, you come a sweater, and that's what they do.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
they
abroad?
wear it, yes, because you wear it. You are not important. The books, the books are important.
True.
So that concept has to come in the mind of people and administrators, that it is not AC like somebody asking, oh, do you have a fan at home? You are not complaining because it's hot.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
It's for that collective, the knowledge.
The
bank that
preservation,
is-
exactly. And they don't have it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. Their offices are AC.
Yeah.
They are not bothered if the library is not. They are not for the last so many years. The minister also said it's coming for 2 years, but nothing is happening.
I hope it comes soon.
I don't know. I also hope.
Yeah.
I hope because of the collection, not for anything else.
Right.
Not anything else. The reading habit is not changed. The medium has changed. I also say the same thing. People do not see reading on the Facebook or using a phone or other medium or a computer. That is not reading. You're reading.
Yeah,
You're reading.
Of course.
Yeah. So the main object is to read. Would be different if you are listening, but you're reading. But reading a book is always more pleasant.
True.
Then reading on a computer, I would enjoy reading. You can carry everywhere. So the book, and you may not be able to carry a computer, and so it depends on how you have your experience of reading.
Okay.
Now I started my generation with a book.
Yes.
And so we would like to continue with the book. But many have changed. I read also online, not that I don't read online. I read online, but I always prefer to have a book or a hard copy with me.
Okay.
You know, it makes me more comfortable to read a hard copy than a soft copy.
Great that we agree on that point, that reading habits has not
Yeah.
decreased.
No, reading habits continue. Definitely. I have always been saying, but people don't pay attention to this statement, that reading habits have continued. And it is important for the parents to read for the children, to show the importance of reading. When my grandson was born, my daughter used to read, still continues reading for both, and they would not go to sleep without, reading a story for them. My grandchildren, when they come here, they're happy to go to the library.
right?
Yes, very happy to go. There are books, there are some toys or something, some computers. Though they could improve on that service.
True.
They could or they should
Yeah.
also improve the service. So what was in the beginning is not no anymore. So the improvement is required.
So my last question to you, that now that you got your doctorate degree and we are hearing that you are putting it as a book now, your thesis, right?
Yeah.
When can we read the book from the bookshelves or from the bookstores? Or did you find any publisher? Where are you in this scenario?
The question is good, what you're asking. When, I do not know, because I'm looking for a publisher. Okay. Funding I might get, but I would prefer a publisher, if possible, an international publisher. So I have to send the proposals and see. Or otherwise, as I said, the book will come.
Yeah.
But then one as an academic would always try to see that you get a good publisher. You know, so let's hope that I get a good publisher, and it works. It all depends. I can't say that I'm going to get it, but let's hope that I get a good publisher.
And similar question, like you did 6-7 other books also starting from those.
Yeah, but
those were self-published.
We had a self-publishing house.
Okay.
Yeah, but then that's a different issue.
Okay.
Now in academics, it's always good to have a publisher. So I met somebody and said, okay, I'm giving reference and all, but I'm
Taking
just
it slow?
Sorry.
Taking it slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see by next month if I can send the proposal, and the publishing house said that in 3 months they would get back to you, which is good.
Okay.
Yeah. If they say no, otherwise sometimes say, oh, we'll take years to find out, and we are sending, and no, and even they said we'll send for review and we'll get back to you. So I haven't yet sent the proposals, so I should be sending hopefully by mid-May, trying to, because some other work is there, so that I can have freedom to do other academic, because there is work to be done. The other day also a local publisher said we would like you to publish. I said no, unless and until I get my thesis, sent for publication, I'm not going to do anything else for another person.
Got it.
So then I will emphasize on my thesis, which I should, since it's a new topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is a necessary topic.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
But food and
Memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the chapter on food and memory, which is interesting to me because it's very cognitive also, and it connects to a tangible food. Please tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is connected. See, when I wrote the chapter on food and memory, first of all, the food and memory has not been studied applying to Goa.
Right.
Secondly, it is even internationally it is something new, and I had to use a lot of international writers for this topic. So what I worked was using the folklore, the stories and the novels and all that. Using them, I built up the Goan perspective of connecting the food and memory.
Right.
Like for example, we have that Durpod Maya Samuino. Then it is not only that Maya Samuino is the month of May, was a very busy month in olden times for the housewife.
Okay.
Yeah, because now had storage, not only spices, doing up the house, retiling. Then she also says that she's expecting money, and the money had to come from. So there is so much in that Dulpot that you can analyze it and see, and those things bring you back to your memories.
True.
When you also look out at the food, for example, if you look at a pumpkin, it can bring you back memories of the Christmas time, when a pumpkin was used to make the savory, what do you call them, mandare.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was always, the pumpkin was always kept in mind, let it grow nicely and all that, and the slices were sent to the neighbors and all that they would make the mandare. So that is how one builds the food and memory history of your area or of the people, and that was quite interesting. And I mean, I was myself apprehensive if what I was doing was right, because there was nothing you could look forward to. But it came out very nice, and was, it was accepted, and let's hope things I can evolve more, because my guide in fact reduced my chapter from almost 80 pages to 40 pages. So I could use the remaining 40, you know, to have have a separate thing on food and memory. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your time and this conversation. And we from Herald team, we wish you all the best to get a good publisher and keep doing good work.
Thank you very much, and I hope, as I said in the beginning, it could be an inspiration for the younger generation.
Yes, of course.
And also there's lots to be done, and I don't say because I've done food history, that's the end, that's just the beginning.
True.
And much can be done.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, audience. We'll see you next week.